Right, I'm on my way to Camberwell for a ride around London today. These two lads I'm meeting up with, they don't muck about. Last time I went for a ride with them, it was a full-on apocalypse ride around the wastelands of East London. We went from Camberwell to Woolwich, under the river, around the back of the airport, up to Hackney and back to Camberwell. Today's going to be a bit more straightforward than that, hopefully.
Right, we'll get into the route in a second, but let's just have a look at the hardware situation, because we've got three very different bikes here. We've got a charge plug, no nonsense, single speed, 90 stump jumper, which looks to have been given a urban twist with some slicks and maybe narrowed handlebars. Group set's a mixture of Avid LX and XT, and then logistical reasons meant I was on this folding bike, which is a Brompton S6L, which means it's got 6 gears and a flat handlebar, which is a bit stiffer than the U-shaped one that you see on most Bromptons. Right, we're moving. So the idea with this route was just to head out for a ride around London and keep it as low traffic as possible. 10 to 15 years ago, cycling around London was not a pleasant experience with the lack of cycle paths. I saw an article online, 4 of London's best and most bike-friendly new routes, and one of them caught my eye in particular. It heads north from Blackfriars up to Camden, round Regent's Park, and then back to Vauxhall via Hyde Park. And the first section is really easy riding. This bit's known as the Cycle Superhighway 6. But it's nice cycling knowing you're not going to get buzzed by a car or a van at any point. Although the lane itself, this particular one, can be a bit of a rat race in the week, but on a Sunday afternoon like this, it's nice and quiet. And as well as the long straight sections, there's some nice little cut-throughs to make it a bit more interesting, but you've got to watch out for pedestrians. Now, once we got up to Camden, had a bit of a navigational error and headed west a bit later than we should have done, and ended up on quite a busy section of the canal. This is super touristy, this area, and got forced through this little Omicron hot. That said, when we got onto the canal a bit further out, it made for good riding. There's always interesting stuff to look at. Now, Regent's Park is a very popular spot for London's road cyclists, and there's always scope for a bit of a drag race here, so this person got a bit more than they bargained for. They don't acknowledge us at the lights, but they're probably able to hear the panting. And then he heads off pretty quickly, has a cheeky look behind. I think that's a signal to the car, which is pretty obvious. And then we kind of try to make up a bit of ground, but then just as we get to the wheel, there's an implosion in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and they're off. So the navigational issue in Camden meant we've had to follow our noses a bit and miss out the Hyde Park bit, but we cut down to Victoria, and then through Victoria down to Vauxhall, where we picked up the Cycle Superhighway 5.
There's time for a 20-minute half somewhere. Talk of refreshments, and the pace has picked up noticeably.
Yes, I've got the spot. It's called the Kennington. It's kind of on the main street.
The Kennington, I know it, yeah.
Just heading past the MI6 building there, and you can see the pace picking up now that a pub's been identified. Interesting section here in Vauxhall that threads its way under the station. As I said, they do have their detractors, these cycle lanes, but bits like this, through busy junctions, are an absolute godsend and just make cycling so much easier. Just heading past the oval cricket ground on the left there. Quick crotch shot, and then it's into the pub for pints and medals. And that was that. And navigational issues aside, it was a very enjoyable ride, despite the weather being absolutely Baltic. Next time we're going to do a London ride, I think it's going to be another apocalypse ride, but we'll probably wait for the weather to warm up a bit first. For that, I've got a video coming up on winter road cycling, so that should be online in the next couple of weeks.